A warm welcome to today's session. As you know, the topic for today is NFPA CFPS exam preparation awareness program. This is. I briefed you about what is CFPS. We have seen the eligibility requirements. We have seen how you can, maintain your credential once you have come out certified, and what is this exam about? But what you need to study, or what is the content you need to look into for appearing in the exam. That's why this is very important. So that's what is called as CFPS knowledge domains. So NFPA has published 12 knowledge domains. Along with that domain, they have also published what is the weightage for that exam, or how much percentage of that topic will be asked in the CFPS examination. Domain number one is safety in the built environment, that is carrying a 5% weightage, and the basics of fire and fire science, a 10% weightage, information and analysis of fire protection, 5%, human behavior in fire emergencies, 5%, fire prevention programs, materials, processes, and environments, 15%. See, even fire prevention programs, whenever we are, in any industry, or in any field, maybe construction, or just a building management, or an oil and gas management, or developing some safety management strategy, you will have to develop a program. In that, you will have to identify what materials you are storing there, or even in a building, what kind of materials or fire hazardous materials are there. Are there any processes in any manufacturing processes, or what kind of operation is going on there, and what kind of environment it is, outdoor, indoor, or confined. So depending on that, you have to develop. So you will have to have an understanding of different material properties, how it will burn. See, some materials burn with a flaming fire. Some materials will be smoldering fire. You will not come to know. So similarly, all those material properties and the storage requirements, different types of processes, even in a plastics manufacturing, or a petroleum refinery, or a chemical process plant, what kind of typical operations, processes, equipment in a material handling equipment, what all you need to consider, what will be the fire hazards, what will be the challenges, what you can go for the safeguards, in the safety management, or to educate the people. Everything is covered here. And domain number 6, facility fire hazard management. In any facility, that also depends on what that facility is for, its business purpose. System approaches to property classes. It depends on different property classes are there, like maybe some are residential. Even in residential high-rise building, or see, apartments, or dormitories, or lodges, rooms, educational buildings will be there, or healthcare facilities, or detention facilities, correction and detention facilities, old age homes. It all depends on what kind of property classes, what kind of hazards, what kind of occupant characteristics. See, occupants means who live there. There, it also depends on their mobility, how fast they will be able to move out. So all those important information will be given in this domain. Next, organizing for fire and rescue services. See, the fire department functions, emergency functions, non-emergency functions, what all they do, what is their preparedness, what are the equipments they are carrying. All those, their strategies, their plans, their management strategies, everything is covered in that. Detection and alarm system carries a 10% weightage. Different types of detection system, different types of fire alarm system, different types of supervisory system. See, detection also, it depends on what kind of, when you before you select a detector, like a heat detector, or a flame detector, or a smoke detector, first you have to know what will be the fire signatures. What do you mean by fire signature? Fire signature means what will be the byproducts of combustion. See, maybe the first is some materials burn with more smoke than heat, then you will go for the smoke detector. Heat, some, there will not be any smoke or particulate matter, but high heat release rate will be there. So that all, it depends. Some will be the most critical will be the gases produced, toxic gases. So toxic gas detector you will have to provide. So all this, in each domain, from NFPA handbook standpoint, if you see, some of these domains is covering a few sections in NFPA handbook. So a vast variety of topics, different chapters, so many chapters will be covered in one domain. And domain number 10, water-based fire suppression. It covers starting from where you tap your or where you source your water, like maybe from public public water supply main or municipality or water supply main or a private fire service main. What all you need to look into to assure or to ensure the 100% availability and reliability of the water supply. What type of storage tanks you can go for, different types of storage tanks, even as per NFPA 22, different types of fire pumps, what all you need to see for an NFPA compliant fire pumps as per NFPA 20, water distribution facilities, different types of water-based fire suppression equipment like hydrants, monitors, standpipes, sprinklers, everything is covered in this domain under this 20% weightage. Next is fire suppression without water. So without water, different types of dry powder extinguishers or gaseous extinguishing agents like inert gas, inergens, clean agent gas as per NFPA 2000, carbon dioxide extinguishing system, NFPA 12, then portable extinguishers or wheeled extinguishers. It depends. All this covered under this domain, which is having a 5% weightage. The last domain is confining fires. How you can contain fire at its source. Okay, once a fire happened here, how I can contain it without escalating to the other areas or other structures or other facilities. So that is related to different types of structural building design and different materials used in interior finishing, ceilings, floorings, exterior finishing, even with respect to the NFPA 5000 building construction code, NFPA 101 life safety code. So that's about, this is the core of CFPS preparation. Once you are familiar with these topics, and you are knowledgeable in, and you know how this is presented in NFPA handbook, you are ready to go for the exam. And I mentioned this is an open book exam. Open book in the sense, why? What is the NFPA's intention in coming with this examination as an open book? Because NFPA is testing, or its objective under this certification examination is to determine a candidate's related knowledge base. That is only one thing. Okay, so what is our knowledge base? How knowledgeable we are. So based on your knowledge base during your exam, you should be able to instantly answer at least 40 questions without referring anywhere, because you have that much time short. You're short of time. You have 100 questions to answer. So one aspect is it is checking your knowledge base, and the another aspect it is checking is your ability to use the handbook as a reference. So even if it is called as a handbook, it is not a small book. As I showed you, see, this is really heavy. 2 books together. See, it is showing us 2 books. It is 2 volumes that I will introduce. See, NFPA Fire Protection Handbook 20th edition. So 20th edition is what the latest one you will have to take for your exam, or you will have to use for your reference in preparing for the exam. So 20th edition, 2008 version. That is the latest. So to use this during your exam, you will have to be very much familiar about how this book is organized. There are 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. And both books having a table of contents. I am mentioning about this table of contents because this is going to help you during your exam, because this is covering 21 sections over 3,000, almost 3,500 pages are there, 2 books together. See, what you have to expect in your during your exam is on a short table you will have a computer, and you will have to handle these 2 books. Okay, 2 books. And the 21 sections means volume 1 will be covering section from 1 to 11, and volume 2 section 12 to 21. So these total 21 sections will be covered, that will be reflected in this table of contents, which will be a common for both the books. So in hurry during your exam, if you are referring the table of content in volume 1, there also you can refer the volume 2 chapter names and the details, because seeing a question, first after identifying what is the intention of that question. See, because multiple choice questions means it will be tricky. You won't be able to immediately answer it. Those 4 options or 5 options will be confusing somewhere. Okay, then immediately if you are not able to answer, you have the book with you. But these 2 books, in which book it is, in which section it is, that is another thing. So to handle it will be very difficult. That's why it's important, very important to know how this book is organized. Each chapter, how many sections are there, what each section is about. Inside each section, there are so many chapters, multiple chapters. See, total 211 chapters are there, and this is contributed by 247 authors. So then one person cannot memorize or master everything. Okay, so this is a contribution from 247 experts, because each chapter is about a different kind of industry. And index I am referring here because it is very important, because once you are preparing for this exam, you will know what is the importance of index, especially at the time of examination. Because if you do not have any clue of where it is in the book, the last line is you can look at the index and see, alphabetical order, and look for the keyword and see where it is in the book. But that also, for each alphabet, there will be so many, it will run into pages, even the index. So it will be difficult. But once you are, familiarized with the book, once you are practiced, it will be very easy. It's going to help you, because this book you can use at the examination. Once you are familiar with the topics, that's going to help you, of course. So NFPA Fire Protection Handbook. Why this book? NFPA is recommending to take for the examination, or to consider as a resource, to use as a resource for this certification examination, because there is no other fire protection reference quite like it. Because it is a compilation of fire protection data and best practices worldwide. See, the creation of this handbook through 20 editions and 111 years has evolved literally thousands of fire protection experts from within and outside NFPA. Also, it's a contribution of thousands of experts from within and outside NFPA, and also from different fire test analysis, different surveys, especially in the US. From 1900s to different types of fire investigation data they are looking into. They are interviewing people, and they are doing all those, collecting all those real-time data, and that is the basis of each NFPA standard, and modeling it. So this is the reference source for fire protection practitioners worldwide. Because see, there are 400 codes and standards, but almost everything, the overall guidance you can see from this book, 2 books, it is covering. Only thing is that if you are in a particular role, which may be a particular system design, then you will have to refer the particular NFPA code, because this is giving an overall idea. But here also, if you refer this NFPA handbook, it will divert you to the correct code and standard. Okay, NFPA and maybe some ANSI standard, or API, American Petroleum Institute standard, or OSHA standard. Even it gives cross reference to Clean Air Acts, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, US EPA, all those cross references also it's giving. So that's why that is the relevance and significance of this book. Okay, prior to exam, what you need to do, how you should be prepared. Yes, prepare in advance by becoming familiar with the contents of the NFPA Fire Protection Handbook. That is the only way. And because I told you, handling 2 books like this, it's really difficult, to find out the books and go through the pages to find out which section, because I told you there are 20 sections, but to find out, the right page and the right chapter, it will be time taking. So you can tab the sections like this. I don't know if it is visible. The tabbing of the book is allowed with a permanent adhesive type tabbing, similar to those provided with the Fire Protection Handbook. This is my book. I have tabbed this way. This tabbing is with permanent adhesive type tabbing. These tabs I got as a sticker when I purchased this book. So with the NFPA book, if you are purchasing it, you will get that permanent tabs, with each section name. So that's how you can tab it. See, uh, section 1, I have tabbed with the section 1 title. And if I want to go to section 4, I can easily go like this. Oh, sorry, this is volume 2. Okay, so this is volume 1. If I want to go to section 4, you can easily go like this. So that's how each section is coming with a different multiple chapters. We have seen almost 211 chapters are there. So this tabbing is going to help you. So prior to exam, you can, if you have permanent tabbing, you can tab it. Permanent tabbing means, see, once this is tabbed, I cannot remove it unless I tear my page, tear my book. So only that kind of tab is allowed. And no photocopies of any section of the handbook allowed. Only the real hard copy book is allowed for the exam. And the highlighting of references is okay. If it is your book and during your preparation, anywhere you are highlighting, that is okay, the important points. So that is not an issue. But even if you are highlighting without familiarizing the book, you will not be able to, go to that highlights during your exam. And at the exam venue, you will have to bring your exam notification letter from NFPA, that authorization letter with a valid photo ID. And the candidates without this valid photo ID and the authorization letter won't be allowed to sit for the exam. The printed hardcover version of the original handbook is the only resource you will be allowed to use at the exam. That will only be permitted. Photocopies of the book or soft copies in any electronic device, that's not permitted. Calculators or any electronic devices or any papers, scratch papers or post-it type notes, nothing is allowed. Highlighters, pens, post-it type notes, nothing will be allowed. And easily removable like tabs or a bookmark to identify each section or chapter, that is also not allowed. Only permanent adhesive type tabbing is allowed. That is what about what to expect or what you need to bring to the exam venue. And I mentioned this is a computer-based exam, so the scoring will be computer-based. Answers you will be able to directly click on the computer screen. The minimum scale score of 70 is required for passing. And the CFPS policy prohibits release of any examination scores. So once you done with your examination, any score will not be published, or you will not be intimated with what is the score you have got. Other than that, you will get a notification of pass or did not pass. That is what, and immediately after your examination at the computer center, once you are done with your exam and once you just go out, the proctor can print out the examination result that will show you pass or did not pass. If it is a did not pass, it will present a diagnostic report. This diagnostic report will show you, like in these 12 domains, those 12 domains will be listed. See, the weightage or percentage was already mentioned there. So one domain with a 10%, if you got wrong in 4 questions and if you were right in 6 questions, it will show you like 40% you have to improve and 60% good. So that is an indication for your next preparation. That will show you the area for improvement. That is another advantage from this diagnostic result. And as I mentioned, from the examination center itself, you will get a test result at the end of the examination. And that will be an unofficial test result because it is not directly, you are not receiving from NFPA. But within 2 weeks or within a 1 month period, you will get the official examination result letter from NFPA. Thank you, all of you.